Hi, I'm Nick Shell, and you're watching this video because you recently watched me perform my newest song that I've written called Saint Doubting Thomas. And if you haven't somehow seen me perform that song and you started watching this video first, I don't even know how you discovered this video or why you're still watching it without having seen, but just click that link right there. There's the link, it will show you me performing this song. But in this particular video, I would like to share with you, as is tradition, I like to explain what inspired me to write this particular song. Again, this is called Saint Doubting Thomas, and this was written about 3 months ago. Sometimes a song can be written and the next week I record it. This is not one of those. It's been over 90 days, probably close to 100 days since I've written it. And I would say that while the song didn't take long to write, it took years to get to the point where I could write the song, if that makes sense. I feel like this is an ongoing series in the dozens of songs that I've recorded and put on my channel, as far as, and ultimately I know this channel is also to do with Enneagram. So for me, as I've learned that I'm Enneagram 6, I am the most loyal person and I'm also the most skeptical person. And that's the world that I live in. I live in a world where I'm constantly trying to bring together all the loose connections and solve these riddles and solve these problems. And therefore, I myself do not feel like a very stable person on the inside, but on the outside, what people see is a very stable person because that's my gift to the world. I can stabilize the world even if I can't stabilize myself. And by writing these songs, it often brings out what subconsciously is going on the inside of me. So if you're familiar with Enneagram, you might think, is this guy not an Enneagram 4? You know, I tap into that part of myself, the creative part, but ultimately, what you're seeing is Enneagram 6 is fear-based. Ultimately, everything is under the umbrella of fear, not shame like it would be Enneagram 4, or anger like it would be an 8. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to write another honest song about my Christian faith and where I'm at with it. And it's funny because my entire life, my favorite book of the Bible has been Ecclesiastes, which is largely contributed to King Solomon having written that. Who is this guy who at the time was the richest, wisest king who ever lived and had everything he could possibly want. So at the end of his life, he writes this short book of the Bible, which, you know, was a couple of thousand years before Jesus was even born. You know, an Old Testament book where, and again, it kind of seems like the most honest book in the Bible ever, because he says, everything's meaningless. Like basically there is no point to life. So all you really can do is know that in the end you are going to answer to God, so follow God's laws. Eat, drink, and be merry is ultimately what it says. Enjoy your wine, enjoy your bread, enjoy the wife of your youth. Always been my favorite book, and that's the one I'm going back through right now. I've even written a song called Ecclesiastes that I've put on this channel. That's how much I read the book, summarized it, and put it into a 3-minute song. So here we go. This is me realizing that, and I had said this in another song too, an honest worship song, if you've seen that one, where I compare myself to, I mentioned Jonah in that song, and I mentioned it again here. I thought, what would happen if I were to mention that and doubting Thomas, but what if I were to? I feel like that's who I am. I feel like that's the mascot of who I am. I feel like Ben Linus in the final episode, the final season of Lost, in the final episode, where he's sitting out of that church contemplating, like, do I really even belong inside there? Like, that's how I feel. So let's get into the lyrics and let's see how long this video ends up being. Saint Doubting Thomas. I don't know how to feel. I don't know what to do with this. Will I be thrown in the sea with a millstone around my neck? That's a reference to Jesus saying that basically if anyone leads any child astray, causing them to not believe in God, etc., it'd be better for them to be drowned in the sea. So I'm saying, by me even saying these thoughts out loud, am I putting myself in that situation? I believe I have enough doubt for a Baptist preacher to leave the faith. I imagine, you know, with all the questions and doubts that I've had, and no matter who I talk to, no one can give me peace about this, like true peace. Like no one can give me a logical solution and answer is what I'm trying to say. And ultimately, it always comes back to you have to have faith. And would you rather have hope or not have hope? That's ultimately what it comes down to. But I feel like if I were to really sit down with a Baptist preacher, like say they were my therapist and I sit down in the chair, I feel like I would cause them to leave the faith because what I'm saying is so full of logic. So we're getting into this. So yeah, will I be thrown in the sea? Just like Jonah, am I the problem? I mean, Jonah is this very famous Bible guy, but Bible hero, if you want to call him that. But ultimately, the whole time he's running from God and he's questioning God and he's questioning God's motives. It's like, yeah, that's a lot of me. And I'll get to that in one of the next verses. But the chorus, and by the way, if he's watching, Lucian is one of my neighbors on my walk. We've had these discussions, and it was him that told me, Nick, it sounds like you're trying to sort your faith out. It sounds like doubting Thomas. It sounds like you're trying to touch the scars in Jesus's side or in his hands and put your fingers in his side. And then, you know, I wrote this song thanks to Lucian, which again, he might be watching this video. But that's the chorus. Is this how I touch the scars of your hand and thrust my fingers in your side? What's it like to just not question things when a lack of logic is what I find? I'm Saint Doubting Thomas. I'm hanging on, Lord, I promise. So this isn't me cashing in my chips and say, oh, okay, I'm agnostic now. And granted, often my head feels agnostic, but my heart is Christian. My heart still has the faith and believes. But I ask a lot of questions that I can't get answers for. And that's the world I live in. All right, moving on to the second verse out of 3. If I were God, which I'm not, would I make people in my own image, then set them up to fail with the tree of knowledge of good and evil? Which comes to the question, well, Nick, you know, God gave us free will. And I'm saying, I didn't ask for free will. I didn't ask to be born. I didn't ask to be held accountable to any of this. But yet we all are. And if I were God, I wouldn't do that. If I were going to create people, I wouldn't put them in a situation where ultimately they would need to be saved from themselves because I would be casting them into hell and judgment. That's hard for me. In a spiritual sense, you could say I've got daddy issues. I feel like an abandoned child held over the flames of hell like a toasting marshmallow. Like I still feel that, like, even though I am true to my faith and I pray, I read the Bible, I follow all the commandments, all this stuff, I do my best in my heart. And yet still, what if I get it wrong? What if I still chose the wrong God? Because people of other faiths are ultimately in that situation, right? That's what the Bible seems to teach. That's what Jesus seems to teach. And then the final verse, I find this narrative odd. Is it the Wizard of Oz back there? It's a cryptic riddle. We're all trapped in the middle. Should I put reason to rest and pretend? So there we go. That's where I'm at. I don't know that I'll ever get beyond this, but I think it's important that I'm honest with myself. Maybe it'll help my own existential anxiety with all this. Because if you're Enneagram 6, you deal with existential anxiety constantly, and if not, you're having a good day. So thanks for watching this 8-minute video. Again, click that link and hear the song. I'd love to hear from you. Comments belong right there.